What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've received some news which I wasn't expecting that I am really happy about, and that is that Vanguard is getting an actual factual video game for the Nintendo Switch and for Steam. Now, as it stands at the moment, we don't have a huge amount of information about this. We do know that it is for both the Nintendo Switch and for Steam, because they are the two logos that were shared on the, on the announcement. So you know what? Yeah, this seems honestly about right. And to be honest with you, right, this seems like basically any card game is one that I want to play handheld. I don't want to be sitting playing this on a big telly. I want to be lying on a couch or lying in a bed or sitting on a big comfy chair, not having to look in a specific direction, having this handheld, and between the Switch and the Steam Deck, it seems like we are covered. So you know what? Yes, this seems good. Now, the announcement was made on a live stream. Unfortunately, it was a live stream in Japanese, and though I am learning Japanese, shall we say my Japanese is not great. Now, it is planned for release this winter, and generally speaking, that means no later than mid-November. Now, that's not a guarantee, of course, but remember, you know, in the West, you're talking US, Europe, etc., the big games and card sets and all, they're generally released in November, not December, and the reason's really simple. That's when you get the most customers. You can release it in December, but you're giving up some prime shopping weeks, which is something that companies don't generally want to do. I'm not guaranteeing mid-November, but I am saying that it is rather likely. Is it getting an English release? Well, look, if it's not getting an English release, putting an English language announcement on the English language Facebook page seems a little bit weird. Because, you know what? The Japanese fighters rules will be updated, stay tuned for the English version, was shown off with this image, which is clearly all in Japanese. So, yes, it's going to be getting an English release. Like I've said, unfortunately, very, very little in terms of details here, and I'm sorry about that, but it is at least coming. And this is brilliant for me. I'm a huge fan of this because general rule is I want to learn like every card game. But as I'm sure most of you are aware at this stage, card games are expensive. It's hard to learn every card game. And sure, you've got stuff like Magic Arena for Magic, but we all know that Magic Arena is great if you actually want to get to play regular Magic and keep up with all the new sets and all things along those lines. No, I don't play it yet. Please don't be too mad if I'm getting it a bit wrong here. My point is, as a self-contained thing, Magic Arena is not great. It is made to try and get you to keep up with the game. But if you just want a flavor of a game, the best thing is where you've got self-contained video games like this, which is very much what this seems to be. It could be a free-to-play ongoing game like Magic Arena, I suppose, or free to start and then you buy cards as you go. That's generally not what we tend to see on the Nintendo Switch. They tend to be self-contained games. I would imagine that that is what this is going to be here, and I'm all in favor of it. This seems absolutely brilliant, because not all games get this. You know, if we go back to Pokemon as an example, because I love me some Pokemon, there was a Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy, and it was great. But if we go back now, it's only using very old cards. There was a Pokemon TCG 2 on the Game Boy, in Japan only, which doesn't really count. And there was a piece of tutorial software which came out on the DS, which doesn't really count, because it just helps you learn. It's not actually like a proper game in that regard. And now we've got PTCGO, and PTCGO is good, but again, it's not a game that's really that good to pick up and play. You need to invest and build a collection, and if you want to test current decks and keep up with the game in that regard, it's great. If you just want to play a bunch of different decks and get a really good overview of the game, it's not particularly good, because you really have to invest in the long run, build up a collection, etc. So you know what? This is good. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Do this. Now, I know nowadays, Yu-Gi-Oh! Have got their free-to-play build-a-collection game. I understand that, all right? But, you know, we've had a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games on Switch. We had Legacy of the Duelist, which was, you know, a proper fully-fledged Yu-Gi-Oh! Game with thousands of different cards in. And then there was Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel, although I don't believe Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel actually came out in English. No, wait, sorry, I don't believe it had a physical release in English. It did you can go and download it on the store. It's actually on sale right now, although I'll be honest with you, it's not that much on sale. My point is, these kind of games do happen, and this is wonderful. For what it's worth, there is actually a Battle Spirits game that has come out in Japan, but I believe it's only come out in Japan. And there is actually a Vanguard game, which is out on the Switch in Japan. You can go and get that off of Amazon Japan right now, but I'm fairly sure that game only got a Japanese release, and this one actually only got a Japanese release. So you know what? When there's games like Battle Spirits and the old Vanguard game that are not getting releases over here, the fact that Vanguard Dia Days actually is getting a release is a pretty big deal. And make no bones about it, right? Vanguard might not be the biggest game out there, but it is absolutely a relevant game in terms of sales. I mean, ICV2, the lovely website, does a ranking of the top 10 collectible games, and it's far from perfect, but Vanguard often pops up. You know, according to the most recent list in fall 2021, it's sitting there as the 7th biggest game, right between Weiss Schwarz and Digimon, although I'm going to be honest with you, I don't believe that Digimon is actually below Cardfight Vanguard and Weiss Schwarz, but we can talk about that another day. My point is, this is a relevant top 10 TCG, and honestly, on that list, you need to take away D&D Icons of the Realms, because that's miniatures, not cards, so it's easily a top 7 TCG. Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Flesh and Blood, Weiss Schwarz, Digimon, and Cardfight Vanguard. So you know what? This isn't some kind of flash-in-the-pan game. It's here to stay. And like a lot of people, I've wanted to play Vanguard before, but I've not had an easy route to go and play it. You know what would be awesome? What would be awesome is if I could go ahead and play it on the Switch, which I now can. And then, of course, this is the whole point of this, is that it is going to get so much more, you know, press for this game. It's going to get so many more people involved in the game, and this has got to be a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. This has got to be driving Vanguard forward as we go, and this is wonderful. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not an expert on Cardfight Vanguard. It's not one of the games in which I am an expert, but apparently, according to Wikipedia, it's been going since February 2010, and since May 2010, it's been being released in English, and it seems to be, honestly, cracking on quite nicely. Most card games don't last that long. An awful lot of successful card games don't get into the top 10. Final Fantasy is a great game, one that I like very much indeed, one that I've got a huge amount of time for, but that's just never in the top 10 trading card games or collectible games over on the ICV2 list. So the fact that this actually makes it in there is honestly a pretty big deal. The fact that they're localizing this game is a very big deal. Remember, the last Yu-Gi-Oh! Game got an online-only, digital-only release in English. The Battle Spirits game didn't get an English language release. Vanguard EX didn't get an English language release. So the fact that this is getting an English language release is honestly genuinely brilliant. It's a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very, very big deal. So now it's over to you guys. Are you Vanguard players? If you are, how excited are you for this? Are you not Vanguard players? In which case, how excited are you for this? Because I'll be perfectly honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, Vanguard is a game I've always wanted to get into and I've always kept one eye on, but I've never really been able to get into it because I've not found a good way to play loads of games and try loads of decks and basically do all the things that you need to do in order to get into and start loving a card game. Well, that seems to have been fixed, quite honestly. this seems to have turned into a situation where I can actually now play some Vanguard, and if you're one of those people who's been interested in Vanguard for a while, or has just kind of held it around, now might be the time. There is actually one more little image we've got here. It just says, I'm putting all my hopes and feelings into this one card. A second-year high school student at Omi Academy, she is a strong-willed and honest girl who excels in both academics and athletics. After tailing her brother one day, she stumbles into the world of Vanguard. So yeah, there's a little hint at the story. We don't know exactly when the release date is going to be. We don't have a huge amount of information about it. But come on, it's a Vanguard game. You know what the deal's going to be. You're going to have a huge amount of cards. You're going to be able to make decks. You're going to be able to go through some kind of story mode. There's probably going to be a way to connect it to other people and play with decks you've constructed. And I'm hyped. Day one buy for me. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about a whole bunch of different card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.